Hi everyone, we're trying a new approach to our webinars and have pre-recorded this video for you. Let us know what you think of this new format. Our staff are on hand to answer any questions during the video, as well as during the standard 5-minute Q&A at the end. Okay, let's get into it. Meet Emma. She's had a dream for a long time to open a cafe of her own, and now that dream is finally becoming reality. She's already secured a beautiful location, finalized the interior design, and perfected her menu. The only thing she's missing is someone to help her set up a reliable and secure network for her business. Emma wants to know what equipment she'll need, how to set it up properly, and what she should prepare to keep everything secure. While researching networking solutions, Emma discovered DrayTek. The more she looked into it, the more she felt DrayTek might be the right fit, offering the security, reliability, and flexibility her cafe needs. Now that we've learned about Emma and her cafe, it's time for us to help her choose the right network setup. To pick the right DrayTek model, we need a few important details, and luckily, Emma is right here with us.
Hi everyone.
All right, Emma, before we choose a router, I need to ask you a few questions. First, what type of internet connection will you be using?
FTTN. And I want a failover option in case the primary connection drops.
Okay, great. Next, how many customers do you expect to have on Wi-Fi at the same time?
Up to around 32 customers.
Perfect. And do you need VPN access to your cafe network while you're at home?
Yes, definitely.
Based on all that, the ideal model for Emma is the Vigor 2865LAX 5G. This router has multi-WAN support, built-in Wi-Fi 6, 5G capability, VPN support, and plenty of room for future expansion as her business grows. A great fit for a modern cafe environment. Now that we've selected the router, let's design the network for Emma's cafe. One for employees and one for customers. This way, staff systems stay protected, while customers can enjoy fast and secure Wi-Fi without accessing the business network. We're keeping it simple but secure. The employee network will use 192.168.88.1. The guest network will use 192.168.11.1. This keeps customer traffic isolated from business systems, exactly what Emma needs. All right, looks like Emma's router has arrived. Let's walk through the setup, including the WAN, LAN, Wi-Fi, and basic management settings. To log in, you can connect using either Wi-Fi or an Ethernet cable to a device with an Ethernet port using the cable provided in the package. If your device does not have an Ethernet port, a USB to Ethernet adapter can also be used. The default Wi-Fi name will look like this, where X's represents the last 6 digits of the router's motherboard. The Wi-Fi password is printed on the label at the back of the router, which looks something like this. The default username and password are admin and admin. On first login, you'll be prompted to change the password. And yes, you must do this before accessing the settings. Once you're logged in, it's time to configure the internet connection. We'll start by connecting the DSL cable to the router's DSL port. For the internet setup, different ISPs use different settings. Some connections require VLAN tags and ISP credentials, while others do not. To enter a VLAN tag, go to WAN General Setup, WAN 1, then enter the required VLAN ID. In this example, we've entered 2 in the Customer VLAN Tag section. Let's assume your ISP uses PPPoE. Go to WAN Internet Access, WAN 1. Select PPPoE as the access mode and click Details page. Then, under the ISP Access Setup section, enter your ISP username or email address and password as required by your ISP. How did it go, Emma?
I've waited for 15 minutes, but still no internet.
Okay, let's check the DSL status. Go to Online Status, Physical Connection, and check the Line 1 information at the bottom of the page.
I can see that line 1 is still in the training state. What does that mean?
The training state means the DSL line hasn't fully synced with the ISP yet. This can happen for a few reasons, but the most common cause is that the router is using an incorrect or incompatible firmware for the DSL line. Let's update the firmware using a modem code optimized for Australian lines.
Sure, let's do that.
You can download the latest firmware from our website at www.draytek.com.au. Go to the Downloads page, find your router model, and download the firmware. On each model's page, there will be a firmware version highlighted as recommended for Australian users. In this case, the MDM4 firmware is suitable for the Vigor 2865 series.
And done. I've unzipped the folder, but I can see two files here. Which one should I use?
The .all file upgrades the firmware while keeping your current settings. The .rst file upgrades the firmware but resets the router to factory defaults.
Oh, I definitely don't want factory default.
Exactly. So we'll use the .all file. To upgrade the firmware, go to System Maintenance, Firmware Upgrade. Select the .all file since we want to keep the current configuration, and then click Upgrade. All right, Emma, now head back to Online Status Physical Connection and check whether the Line 1 information is showing showtime.
Yes, it's showing showtime now. My WAN 1 connection has turned green and has obtained an IP address. Thank you, DrayTek.
All right, Emma, now that the internet is up and running, let's move on to the LAN setup.
Sure, but before we continue, I'd like to improve security. I'm planning to install 4 CCTV cameras, and I'll also have 3 IP phones for my staff working in the back office.
That's a great idea. In that case, besides the main business network and the guest network, we can add 2 more dedicated LANs, one for cameras and one for phones. This helps improve security and avoids unnecessary network interference. Emma, do your cameras and phones require PoE?
What's PoE, and how does it work?
PoE stands for Power over Ethernet. It allows devices like cameras and IP phones to receive both power and data through a single Ethernet cable. This means you don't need separate power adapters for each device.
Oh, that sounds great. So I don't need extra power points?
Exactly. In that case, you'll need a PoE switch that also supports VLANs. Based on your requirements, the Vigor Switch P1282 is a great fit. It provides PoE power, VLAN support, network monitoring, centralized management, and plenty of ports to support future expansion. The main router connects to the PoE switch, which manages the VLANs. LAN 1 is the main business network for employee PCs and the POS system. LAN 2 is the guest network, used by customers connecting to the router's Wi-Fi. LAN 3 is dedicated to CCTV cameras, and LAN 4 is used for IP phones.
Looks perfect.
Great. Now that the design is confirmed, let's jump into the settings and walk through how to configure the LANs step by step. For this step, the only changes we'll make are the IP address, DHCP start IP, and gateway IP. Everything else will remain at the default settings. First, go to LAN, General Setup, LAN 1, Details page. You'll see the current IP address listed as 192.168.1.1. Set the IP address to 192.168.88.1 and keep the default subnet mask. Under DHCP server configuration, set the start IP address to 192.168.88.10. Keep the IP pool count as default. Set the gateway IP address to 192.168.88.1. Click OK to apply the settings. This will display a warning message to confirm the network IP change. Click OK to accept the change. If the system asks you to reboot, you can ignore it for now. Next, we'll configure LAN 2, which will be used as the guest network. Go to LAN 2, Details page. Enable the LAN and make the following changes. Set the IP address to 192.168.11.1. Set the DHCP start IP address to 192.168.11.1. 192.11.10. Set the gateway IP address to 192.168.11.1. Click OK.
Okay, I think I understand. I have an idea how to configure the camera and phone networks. So for LAN 3, I go to the details page, enable the LAN, and change IP address to 192.168.77.1. Start IP to 192.168.77.10. Gateway to 192.168.77.1. And for LAN 4, I enable it as well and set IP address to 192.168.66.1. Start IP to 192.168.66.10, gateway to 192.168.66.1. Am I doing this correctly?
Yes, Emma, that's exactly right. You've now successfully configured all 4 networks. Now, a quick question. After rebooting the router, which IP address should we use to log back in?
Since we changed the main LAN, it should be 192.168.88.1, right?
That's correct. This address is now the main LAN IP of the router, and it is no longer 192.168.1.1. Now, are you ready to configure the VLAN settings?
Before that, can you explain what a VLAN is again and how it works?
Sure. A VLAN, Virtual Local Area Network, allows you to logically separate devices into different networks, even when they are connected to the same physical switch. Think of a VLAN like separate floors in the same building. Devices within the same VLAN can communicate with each other. Devices in different VLANs are isolated unless routing rules are applied. VLANs help improve security, performance, and network organization by separating different types of devices into their own networks. This ensures that traffic from one group, such as guest Wi-Fi users, does not interfere with or access sensitive devices like staff PCs or security cameras. As a result, the network becomes easier to manage, unnecessary traffic is reduced, and access control is improved. For more information, please refer to DrayTek Article 4911 on port-based VLAN and Article 4912 on tag-based VLAN with VLAN ID.
Thanks, that makes sense now.
Alrighty, let's move on and start configuring the VLAN settings. In our case, we will be using tag-based VLANs. Since we have already set up our 4 networks earlier, we can go straight to the VLAN configuration. Navigate to LAN, VLAN configuration. Enable the VLAN setting. For the main network, select all LAN ports under the LAN section. Then, under wireless LAN 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz, select SSID1 on both bands. This allows employees to connect their phones and laptops to the main LAN using Wi-Fi on SSID1. Since this is the main LAN, no VLAN tag is required. Next, configure LAN 2, which will be used as the guest network. Under the LAN section, tick port 5. Under wireless LAN 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz, select SSID2 on both bands. This SSID will be used for guest Wi-Fi, allowing guests to connect their phones and laptops. Select the subnet for LAN 2, enable VLAN tag, and set the VLAN ID to 11. Next, configure LAN 3 for the camera network. Tick port 5 under the LAN section. There is no need to select any SSID under either wireless band, as the cameras are wired devices. Select the subnet for LAN 3, enable VLAN tag, and set the VLAN ID to 77. Finally, configure LAN 4 for the phone network. Tick port 5 under the LAN section. Select the subnet for LAN 4, enable VLAN tag, and set the VLAN ID to 66. With this configuration, port 5 on the router becomes a trunk port, carrying multiple VLANs. Finally, enable Permit Untagged Device in P1 to access router, then click OK to save the configuration.
How about the interLAN routing settings?
For the interLAN settings, go to LAN, General Setup, and scroll to the bottom of the page. you will find the Interlan routing option there. By default, Interlan routing is disabled, but you can come back to this page later to make changes if needed. Next, let's enable the guest Wi-Fi for LAN 2 that we set up earlier. Go to Wireless LAN 2.4 GHz, General Setup, then enable Index 2, which is the guest Wi-Fi. You can also change the SSID name if needed, and click OK to save. Next, go to the security settings located just below General Setup. Here, you can change the Wi-Fi security mode and password. At the top of the page, select the SSID you want to modify, then apply the required changes. Since the guest Wi-Fi is also enabled on the wireless LAN 5 GHz band, enable the guest Wi-Fi there and apply the same security settings as well. In summary, this webinar began by understanding Emma's business needs and the challenges she was facing with her network. This helped set the context for the recommended solution and ensured the configuration aligned with real-world requirements. We then walked through the initial router setup, including configuring the WAN connection and performing a firmware upgrade to ensure the device was running the latest stable version. Next, we covered network planning, explaining how to design the network before making any configuration changes. This included identifying different user groups and devices, such as staff, guests, and other networked equipment. We then introduced the concept of VLANs, explaining what a VLAN is and how it can be used to logically separate traffic for improved security and management. Finally, we demonstrated how to configure LANs, VLANs, and Wi-Fi settings on the router, including assigning physical ports and wireless SSIDs to each LAN and applying the VLAN configuration in practice. Overall, this session provided a practical, end-to-end walkthrough of planning and setting up a secure, well-structured network based on real customer requirements. Thank you for watching, but please stay tuned. If you have any questions, the DrayTek team will be available in the live chat on the right of your screen for the next 5 minutes. For more information about DrayTek products, please check out our website at draytek.com.au or send us an email to sales@draytek.com.au. or give us a call on 029-838-8899. Please like and subscribe below, and if you'd like a notification anytime we put up a new video, please select all from the subscribe drop-down menu as well. Thanks, and bye for now.